Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Kirsten Valnes, and I am a co-director and pianist of Verdant Vibes. And I'm so excited that you could join us today for this exciting live stream performance. We haven't been able to perform live together in real time for many months, since I guess last February. So it's very exciting today that we have somehow hacked the internet enough to be able to play three brand new pieces for you tonight. Two of them are world premieres. All of them were chosen from our call for scores that we do every year. It's a free call, so anyone can send us their pieces or ideas. And we sift through it all and play some music. And we're very excited to share this work with you tonight. So tune in, turn it up, and we hope you can join us after the concert as well for a Zoom reception if you'd like to chat with any of the performers or the composers. So enjoy.
And I saw you have a cat. I saw your cat just walk by.
Oh, that's Siki. He didn't go to the beauty salon yet, but
I don't have her here, but I have a cat who has to get shaved like once a year because she gets super matted because her hair is very long. And I got her shaved maybe like 3 months ago, and she comes back looking a little funny, but she's so soft. It's like really nice.
I'm sitting in his seat.
Oh, I see. So he's looking on like, that's my seat.
Mhm.
I'm a violist. What do you play? What's your instrument?
Well, right now I'm just trying to focus on my subwoofer.
Fair, yes. Yeah, so I'm a violist, but I am not playing this concert this weekend. I've found it hard to maintain a sense of it's been hard to stay motivated for me personally during this whole time of live concerts being canceled.
Motivated to practice the viola.
Yeah, yep, it's been hard.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know how
there are a
you.
lot of distractions, you know.
I know you had written a little bit in your. We all go through all the submissions of scores, excuse me,
Mhm.
that come in, and I know you had written a little bit about your entering the shelter in place, I guess is the official pandemic term of kind of being on your own has been sort of a theme throughout and in your music as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote an earlier piece that uh well, it was about the same time as this one, and it was also about being alone, like really being alone. And yeah, I think that I needed an extension because I was having mini strokes,
Oh, I see.
and I didn't have anyone to help me. So I think that's one of the reasons why I started putting myself in the Zoom room by myself with two computers and the phone, um, because I was like void of inspiration to practice, kind of like you were saying with the discipline. I was so distracted, but what I noticed about the microphones and the speakers around me is that I kind of had another being responding to my movement. And so it made me feel less alone.
Nice.
Like, the feedback was, it made me feel like I existed, like I wasn't going to disappear.
Yes.
send it to you on chat.
The painting. I was looking at the painting, and you mentioned the poem. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this painting I came across, it's called Easter Morning Portrait of the New York Window. I think, yes, that's right. It's a painting by Child Hassam, and it's painted in 1921. So it shows a girl at presumably a New York apartment, and it's a dark apartment. You can tell she's pulling aside a thick curtain, and light is coming in through the window, and that's what gives the world that she's in the colors it has. And the painting is, of course, beautiful, but I was also struck by a poem by Elizabeth Woods, a seventh grader, that accompanied the painting. I'm assuming that she had submitted the poem, and the museum decided to put it up. So the word radiant light comes from that poem. And of course, I would assume the poem is copyrighted. So because of that, I can't include it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was struck by the hope and the idea of how much she focused on light, and how, of course, at the time we were in a politically turbulent time in the United States and all over the world. And environmentally, speaking, there's so much happening with regards to climate change and the negligence that's happening towards that. And seeing this younger generation that is stepping forward and has so much hope and is so much more aware and concerned about these issues than my generation was, or many generations before that, I think that gave me a lot of hope. And I think that's what gave the backdrop to this piece.
I'm just curious how, like, what your process was of composing it, and how it's sort of being realized virtually versus in a live setting.
Yeah, so I wrote this piece, gosh, was it 2019, I think? Yeah, 2019. And it was composed for something called a performer-composer residency with West End. And it's basically an assembly of really wonderful composers who are also performers in their own instrument, in their own right. And there are a lot of wonderful improvisers in this residency. I wanted to do something that allowed them a lot of freedom to kind of do their own thing. So this is how the piece is constructed. It basically has a framework, and the players have a number of notes they can choose from in each section. And then they have figures that they can play, they can apply to those notes basically within each section. And they can choose what figure they want to apply and how long they want to play and how they'd like to repeat it and all of that. And so I conducted it at the premiere. And I think playing it in an acoustic space, in a way, is a lot easier because there's a lot of listening involved in this kind of playing. So you have to kind of, as a performer, you have to listen to the sound that's being sculpted by all the players in the ensemble and kind of find yourself within that sound and find your role within that sound. So it's much more difficult to listen on a virtual platform because you're obviously having headphones on and the sound is balanced, being mixed by somebody else probably, and you're hearing your own instrument at a completely different dynamic level. So that's probably the most challenging part of doing this. But apart from that, I mean, we had a rehearsal a few days ago, and I was blown away by how well it was working. I mean, it's I haven't had a piece of mind rehearsed entirely virtually yet. So with performers all being in different spaces as they're playing it. And I really didn't think it was going to work as well as it did. So kudos to Verdant Vibes for putting this together and for coming up with such creative ways of overcoming the challenges we're facing today.
time out, everybody. We need to take a second just to get our audio switched over. But we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
The piece that you composed for the concert, I know it's part of a set of a different series. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that and about the piece that's being performed?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the whole series of works that I call texture. There's texture A, texture B, and now there's texture C for VV. So these go back to my research interest in time grids, in sort of like redefining what pulse is, and sort of the impossibility to play together when there is pulse that is sort of mediated by an not human entity.
Mhm.
So like playing with a metronome, playing with a drum machine, playing with a like digital algorithm that makes some sort of pulse. And so that brought me to make pieces that are sort of metronomic pieces, but that actually do not encompass any metronome at all. So it's a weird concept. I had this idea that, yeah, what if all instruments just played these extremely long sustained tones, timbre, basically, just like this extremely textural sound world. And then there is a digital metronome or an algorithm that I write that sort of grids these textures at a very, very high pace, like frenetically fast. While the musicians are like playing extremely slow. So there's also this question of scale, or this contrast, this like conflict of like very, very like micro and very macro scale. And so I made this series to be about time scale, about these rhythms, digital rhythm and human rhythm, like the breath, the length of one tone, of one bow for strings, of one breath for brass and winds and whatnot. And so I made a first piece, texture A, and then I realized this is not yet it. Like there is so much more. So I tweak the algorithm, I tweak the instrumental voices for every iteration, and I explore more and more contrast, more and so that's basically the series.
And I'm curious about the process for creating this piece. It specifically was created to be online. Is that correct?
Yes and no. I mean, yes for texture C for sure. I mean, I wrote the piece in response to VV's call for scores.
Yes.
But it's not true for the series, because the series started long before the pandemic, and so it's my interest in rhythm that led me to making this series. And then I started to work with these textural sound worlds, with instrumental sound worlds that are sort of, as I said, gridded, or like where I introduced these little ruptures with digital algorithms.
Yep.
And then the pandemic happened and everything was on Zoom. And I realized, obviously, as all of us did, that there are so many ruptures in like temporal lag, and like voices are dropping out. And I realized, well, in fact, Zoom is just the same thing as my series. It's just that I never thought of this connection, that the dropout, the like technical rupture, is something that we now live with every day, even if unwanted. And so I thought, well, then this series would be just perfect for the pandemic, for an online situation, because like, in addition to the ruptures that I'm creating with like high tech, there's just like Zoom will add ruptures on its own.
Right.
And that will just add to the aesthetics of the work. And so it's like as if I had written this whole series for the pandemic long before, without knowing, right? Or for a digital, like when we were still in physical space, in person together. And now it actually is online. So it feels like very, very, I don't know, appropriate for this piece to be online.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the technologies of the pandemic sort of amplify the very essence of this piece, I feel.
Do you have anything else you might want to add in about your piece or anything?
Yeah, no, just really how wonderful the experience is of working, collaborating, rehearsing with the group of four musicians, plus Kirsten, who is normally also there for just to be there and runs the tech for the rehearsals. After many months of not doing group rehearsals, it feels very energizing to me to actually be a member of a group and to work with them. And just last night we had the second rehearsal, and it, like the first rehearsal, I think entirely we spent on tech issues, and now last night we run the piece for the first time. And today is inauguration day. It feels like everything is coming together in a
Yeah.
very nice way. And even though we're in a pandemic, we're making music.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're so excited to be able to share these pieces with you and in real time. We look forward to the rest of our season coming up ahead. Normally in February, we have a fundraiser that we do at the Music Mansion and a crowdsourcing campaign to help us support the rest of our exciting performances that we have planned for the rest of the season. So if you're able to donate tonight, that's great. Go to verdantvibes.com. And if you want to save it for the month of February, you'll be hearing from us. We're going to present at least 4 videos weekly, previews of these pieces that we're going to present on our February 20th live stream concert, which will be pre-recorded videos, so they sound perfect for you. And on that concert will be pieces by Sid Richardson, Laura Satilia, Kareem Rustom, and yours truly, Kirsten Valnes. It's a bunch of local Providence and Massachusetts area composers. And if you check out our website, you can also see the concerts we have in March, April, and May planned for you. We hope you can join us. And if you want to drop by the Zoom room, I just put a link in the chat. We're more than well, come ask some questions of the performers or the composers, or just stop by and say hi. It'd be lovely to see you. And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.